Welcome to the Bourbon Experience. My name is Austin. Today I'm reviewing bottles you can get from Seelbach right now. Today's review is going to be 4 different bottles that were all obtained through Seelbach. For those of you who don't know, Seelbach is an online retailer similar to Bourbon Concierge, Sherry Pour, things like that. Seelbach is probably the biggest one that I know of, and they do a ton of different picks and through a ton of different distilleries, and they have a pretty big selection. It's where I got my old stubborns from, one of my first videos. And I believe the Bourbon Lore Ben Holladay 18 barrel blend that might have been released at least partially through Seelbach. But they have a lot of different things. I know they do a bunch of different Blue Run picks, all kinds of different stuff. So what I'm going to be looking to determine or see is how beneficial or how good is Seelbach at actually getting bottles, and can you get a good value bottle from there for a good price that's a high quality. So we're going to be looking at 4 different bottles that are nothing alike for the most part, I would say, and really it's just to see, hey, is Seelbach a place to go to look through their picks, see if there's something for you, and is basically that website a resource that you should be utilizing while trying to get good bourbon. So the first one that I'm going to be doing is Kings County, and it is a Seelbach private select. Kings County Distillery, 64.4% alcohol by volume. So just kidding, 106. Okay. We're going to start with this one instead. So this is Ragged Branch, and it's a wheated bourbon. It says Virginia straight bourbon whiskey. From what little research that I did or what I was able to find online, it seems like they don't source that it is their own distillate. And this is 7 years old, or 7 and some change. But I found it interesting because it's a double oaked wheated bourbon, and I don't know how many double oaked wheaters are out there. So that's what really caught my eye. I think it was like $74 or something. Seelbach Select though, so it's a pick that they did. I'm not going to read through all this, but yeah, 106.4 proof, single barrel, double oaked wheater. Let's see. And before I get into this, I will say I was planning on having a different video get released today, but these came in today, and I wanted to get this out as soon as possible. So if any of these sound good, then you can run out and order them or not. But hopefully, the idea behind getting this out as soon as possible is that they will still be available if you do so choose to go and seek these out. The Kings County and the Bardstown, which I'll be getting to, came from my buddy Kirk, who you'll see in a few weeks on a guest episode. But as soon as these got delivered, I went and picked these up from his house to borrow for the review. So thank you, Kirk. I don't know if these 2 are going to be available still, but I've seen them. I've seen other Bardstown picks from Seelbach up there, and I've seen other Kings County picks from Seelbach up there. So whether you can get these exact ones or not, you should be able to find something similar either right now or probably in the near future, I would imagine. Let me get into the Ragged Branch. Okay. The nose is a little bit musty, a little bit crafty, a little bit funky. Honestly, it's not too dissimilar from the Old Stubborn that I did a couple weeks ago. Yeah, maybe some raspberry cream or like raspberry jam. and some nuttiness, some like peanut nuttiness. On the fresh crack, it's shocking how close that is to Old Stubborn. If you want to try Old Stubborn, and it's been sold out for a third of the price. I think this was like $74 as well. Go get this. It drinks a little bit easier. It's a little bit less crafty. It's still crafty. It's still funky. It's still nutty and musty, but it's toned down from the Old Stubborn. And I enjoy it more just so far. Yeah, and there's that craft distillery oak or wood presence that doesn't come from a really well-aged bourbon, but a crafty, youthy thing. That's in here. It's pretty good. $75. I'm not mad at that at all. But it is wild how close that is to Old Stubborn. So if everything I described in Old Stubborn or everything you've seen about Old Stubborn, if you want something that is close because you weren't able to get it or waited too long and chose not to get it and then now you want to try it, get this. This should still be available. And it tastes kind of like a mellowed out Old Stubborn. And there's this like liqueur or like on the very late finish, there's like this cherry brandy kind of liquor thing going as well. It's actually pretty nice, but it reminds me of almost like a brandy or like a cognac or something. Okay, moving on. I should also say I hinted at next week's video being I hinted at what it's going to be. There's going to be a giveaway on that, so stick to the end of this, and then I will tell you how to get entered into a sample giveaway of that. This one has some residual whiskey on there. Next one that came in today's order is the Ben Holladay Soft Red Wheat Rickhouse Proof. Now this says 6 years old, distilled spring of 17, bottled October 23. So yeah, 6 years. 60.05%, so 120.1. And it's a wheater. Missouri straight bourbon. Next week or the week after, coming up, you'll see a video that features my buddy Jared, and we do a blind. And in the blind is the Ben Holladay Bottled in Bond. And that was my first experience with Ben Holladay. So this will be my second experience, even though it's coming out before that video. Perfumey in a good way. Fruity. Some red fruit, maybe some like apricot or peach, like stone fruit. Maybe like a Twizzler or red licorice type thing, maybe. Oh yeah, that's really good. And there's a slight youthful thing towards the end that's not my favorite. But this is right on par with the legacy distilleries, like a lot of people have been saying. It's at least a fruit forward expression from a legacy distillery. It's got a syrupy mouth feel. It's got a red fruit syrup thing going. little bit of peach, a little bit of stone fruit, then a little bit of a mustiness, almost that you would get like in a Buffalo Trace weeder, maybe. So if you can't get OWA, Old Weller Antique 107, or if you're a fan of like Henry McKenna, which is not a weeder, but has that stone fruit thing too, if either of those are in your wheelhouse, this Holladay soft red wheat Rickhouse proof would be right up your alley. That's good. It's very good. Okay, moving on to this one. This is a Bardstown Bourbon Company pick, and it was labeled Gaelic Gold. I tried this before. Let's see if I remember anything about it, but I think it's possible. Well, let's see. So this is 60% corn, 36% rye, and 4% malted barley, and it's a 6-year product. I wasn't sure if it was a wheater or a rye. I think their new labels might indicate it, like just the color or whatever. But I haven't dug too much into the new Bardstown stuff. But okay, 6-year rye recipe, and the proof is 128.4, 64.2. A little. There is a perfume thing too. I don't know if that's just what I'm picking up right now, or if maybe carrying over from the other pours, but a little bit of that. There's a denseness in it, like it fills your nasal cavities, and like there's a thickness in there, which I like. Maybe some fruit. I'm not really getting any like citrus, but maybe some fruit, like red fruit. Maybe a little bit of orange now that I think about it. Yeah, I'd say some rye, some orange, and then maybe some like cherry or strawberry, something like that. Oh, that's really interesting. There's like a medicinal cherry, there's an orange, there's a cinnamon or a barrel spice. There's some oak, a little bit of the oak on the finish. It is a little bit youthy. I don't want to call that because that's like a bad, has a negative connotation. But there is like a youthful characteristic towards the end. Maybe brighter would be the proper adjective. It's brighter rather than like a darker overall with the finish. Oh, now there's a, what is that? It's almost like an apple. Like an apple and a little bit of like a caramel thing, but then the orange and the red fruit. Yeah, red fruit, orange, cherry, spice. There's apple up front. Nice sweetness on the end. It's really good. Honestly, that to me reminds me of like a Willet product. Maybe a little bit less medicinal orange, a little bit less funky, but I could see that being like a good Willet pick, whether it's through Hirsch or Old Kirk, or I don't know. It's not drinking like a purple top, but it's drinking to me like a sourced Willet product. And that's Bardstown Bourbon distillate, as I understand it. Okay, the last one we're going to is Kings County, 64.4%. Seelbach Select, 6 years, and 80% corn, 20% malt. I've been on the fence about whether I should chase. Oh, that's a hefty pour. But whether I should chase or acquire a Kings County product. They were on secondary for like $250 or something like that. I passed on this one. Obviously, that's why I had to borrow Kirk's, but I passed on this one, and it sat at, I don't know, 160 to 180, something like that. And it was there. It was available. I don't know if there's any other Kings County stuff out there, but this is one that I almost pulled the trigger on secondary. Oh, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago, because it was getting a lot of hype. People were chasing after it. It had really high proof points. The color is really dark. I mean, if you look at it now, I mean, this one's really dark too. But this might be a good place to go to find one if you can't find one otherwise, or have been looking and without any success. Much darker than any of the other ones. And again, this isn't meant to compare them, but just to see maybe some of the variety and options available through Seelbach and whether or not you want to pursue that. Very dark. I mean, it's like chocolate. It's like chocolate malt, like a malted milk ball, like a Whopper almost. Yeah, that's exactly what this is. This is you're going to the movie theaters, you can smell the popcorn in the air, and you open a Whoppers box, and then the Whopper smell, the chocolate malt comes out of that. Like, that's what this smells like. That's what it tastes like too. Very malty, very chocolate, a little bit crafty, a little bit of that crafty wood thing comes in at the finish. Then maybe there's, wow, on the late finish, there's like this date or dried fruit thing. Yeah, that's interesting. Date, raisin, chocolate, malt, a little bit of wood. Maybe a little bit of like coffee in there too, a coffee bean. That's really good. I don't know if I would. And now there's a little bit of that raspberry cream thing too. I think what would be very interesting. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I won't. Ragged Branch, Kings County, and Old Stubborn blind and see how they show up against each other, because there are similarities through all of them. Of the three, this Kings County is my favorite though. Yeah, this dried date plum fig thing at the very end that's coming through is really nice. At this point, I'll say, so next week's video, next Thursday, if you haven't noticed, I release on Mondays, I release on Thursdays. And next, what was intended to be this week's is a review of Maker's Mark Cellar Age. That's going to be next week's video now. And I'm going to be, there's another bottle that's in that video as well. I'm going to be giving a sample away of both bottles that are featured in that video. That's not listed in the video. It'll be listed in the description, so check out the description, and I might put it out in some Facebook groups that might be able to see that. Just follow the description instructions for a chance to win a sample of Maker's Mark Cellar Aged and another product that's in there. And I think that's everything. But as always, the bourbon experience is all about good pours and great times with whoever you're with. Whiskey's meant to be enjoyed. Let's crack those bottles. Cheers.